Hi, my name is Anthony, a.k.a. Vooch.
And I'm his wife, Angie.
And this is the Slow to Speak with Vooch podcast. At different times in our lives, we are faced with loss of different kinds, whether the loss of someone we love or something we hold dear to us. When supporting the griever, it is hard to know what to say or what to do. Well, I'm excited for this season on Slow to Speak with Vooch podcast. My wife, Angie, and I will be discussing some suggested etiquettes when supporting a griever.
Over the past 10 years, I have experienced so many losses, family and relative losses, friend losses, job losses, and health loss. Experiencing loss upon loss to me felt like a wave of water that just kept hitting my face to the point of leaving me breathless. In my experience with losses, I found that many were unaware of the proper etiquettes to use when supporting the grieving. So I was encouraged by a friend to write down my experiences. This led to family, friends, and me to write a book called Suggested Etiquettes for the Grieving. These suggestions are only a framework of ways to consider when supporting a person grieving any loss.
These following podcasts are going to be with the authors of the book, so please enjoy. All right, so today we are going to be discussing Part 1, Etiquette 2. Please don't say, let me know if you need something. Now, you start off with a scripture in this etiquette from Philippians 2, verse 3 through 4, which in the NIV translation, the version we normally memorize in our church over the years, which is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. Now, I know in the book you used the Message version. Why'd you choose to use this one?
The Message version is basically like that no-nonsense family member that just tell you like it is. When you feeling yourself and you feeling like, oh, I'm so important, the Message version just set it off and just tells you exactly what needs to be said in this modern day. As opposed to, I understood what Paul was expressing to the Philippians at that time, because, we're reading about the Ephesians, and
right.
He was expressing the same thing about unity to them and how to live according to the life that you were called to.
Right.
He also talks about in Romans 12:15, because the Philippians, what I read in my commentary, I rely a lot on that, is that the Philippian citizens were mostly Roman people, and that they were retired military people. So he's speaking to them a little bit differently. But going back to this verse, it says in Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. And the commentary just states it just perfectly. Identification with others in their joys and in their sorrows is a Christian's privilege and responsibility. So I talk about that and relate it to this statement, because also in verse 2 of Philippians 2, Paul also says, if you have any tenderness and compassion, he's also telling the Christians that not only if you're in the spirit, but also if you have any tenderness and compassion, that we as Christians should have the attitude of Christ, which is a self-sacrificing humility and love for others. Again, something from my commentary. And not neglecting your own interests,
right,
but to work together to serve one another.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, because that was just kind of like an interesting take, once I go to it and it says, starting off, don't push your way to the front.
I told you, it's like that no-nonsense family member who doesn't mince their words. They just basically say, don't put yourself in front. And I just saw that statement as like being more concerned about how comfortable you feel trying to help the person grieving than it is about helping the griever. Also, it says, don't sweet talk your way to the top. by giving the illusion that, and I think you and I was talking about this the other day, that when you make that statement, it's like an illusion that you're really helping the griever.
Right.
In reality, you're helping yourself not feel guilty.
Right.
You're helping yourself feel like, I've done all I can. I've already asked them, can I help them? And it's going against what this scripture says. It's like you got to put yourself aside long enough to lend a helping hand. And that long enough doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it forever. And it doesn't mean that you just do it just for that one time in the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's just saying long enough is like sometimes that griever may need you to put yourself aside a little longer than the first month after you lose somebody.
Right, right. So please explain why you believe telling someone, let me know what I can do, is not a good thing for the griever.
So for me, I felt burdened when someone would say that to me. I knew I needed help, but I was too numb to try to figure out, and I was too overwhelmed to verbalize what my need was. So it was like adding another task to my list of processing something. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to process losing this person. I'm trying to process dealing with all the statements that were made to me that were rude. I'm trying to process how do I move forward? And then I get another request. Can you come up with a list of things that I can do to help you during this time?
Right.
And it's more or less like, I'm kind of needing you to do the work right now, not me.
But when you say that, I don't know, when I think about it, like you said, we talked about this earlier this week about just saying, let me know what I can do. Because I did this with a friend, he was hurting.
Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to go there. Okay.
No. Nothing.
No, but, what was interesting about that is I thought about your book with this. They are hurting. They're going through some things. And I asked the question, so let me know, is there anything I can do for you? Immediately, my mind went to the place of, okay, I want to help, but I'm going to let you tell me what you need me to do. Then I will activate myself to go and do it. But until then, this is just sort of like a nice gesture for me to say that, hey, I'm thinking about you. And that's sort of what I felt in my heart, at least when I sort of thought about my emotions and my motivation behind saying that.
Yeah, you can excuse yourself by saying, I'm thinking about you and I want you to know that. Mm-hmm. But I think that people unknowingly put a burden on the person grieving any kind of loss when you make that statement, because that's one more thing they have to think about. And to me, it felt like it was just words. It wasn't a real effort to help.
Right.
And so it eventually hurt after a while, after I kept hearing it. And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, I don't know the what to tell you. I don't know the need or the what or whatever that you need for me to tell you. It was like I was trying to comfort them and tell them, this will make you feel better if you do this for me. If you do this for me, I will feel better. So I will let you do this for me. In the beginning of the book, I talk about this numbness that you feel that most call denial. And so when you're feeling that numbness, you don't know the what that a person can do for you because you're still trying to muddle through the feelings that you have after losing that person, or you're trying to figure out, you just feel this numbness that I would explain to you a little bit later, but it's just not a good time to ask people, what can I do for you?